Nobody knows Oregon sports like John Canzano.
It's going to be a real eye-opener.
Voted National Sports Columnist of the Year by the Associated Press. Big opinions.
Lucky you didn't kill somebody.
Big guests.
You should be proud of this team.
No hair.
It's like a free fall.
Read, listen, and watch John Canzano. Weekdays in the Oregonian and on Sports Radio 750 The Game. On KGW every Wednesday on the Square and weekends on Sports Sunday.
There are only two things in professional sports that you can sell as a franchise.
Get the bald-faced truth. Only with John Canzano.
So I bring you Bill Maher, who's joining us here now. Bill, where are you today?
I'm home in L.A. How you doing?
Doing well. Man, you caused a storm here. I tweeted that you were going to be on the show, and I had a revolt from the listeners. A lot of listeners saying, do not bring that guy on. Other people saying, bring him on. I love him. I see him every week. That has to make you feel good.
I'm kind of used to that. Of course, it would be nicer if everyone liked me, but I've kind of gotten used to the fact that half the people do not.
When you run into people in an airport or, as you're traveling and doing the stand-up comedy, are they surprised that you're a nice guy when they interact with you? Do they go, well, you're not so bad?
That is an interesting question, and the answer is yes. Many times I have that thought run through my mind, like, why is it so surprising that I'm a nice guy? Why do you have this idea that I was going to be some sort of monster? It's like, yeah, I guess I'm glad you think I'm a nice guy, but it's sort of insulting that it was a giant surprise to you. But I guess when you do a show like I do, that's a debate show, and, you're arguing with people, and you have to have a sharp tongue about it sometimes. I guess they have this idea that you're going to be, don't kiss that cobra, you'll get bitten. But no, I'm never looking for a fight, and I'm certainly not ever looking to disagree with anybody. I think it would be great if everyone agreed with me all the time.
You host Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO on Friday nights, 10 o'clock. And I love what you do with the show, especially the round table that you have kind of deep in the show. When you have that debate where you have people who have dissenting opinions and the conversation, it surprises me often when I see the conversation kind of going sideways. Are you ever surprised that things get heated, or do you kind of expect that with the dynamic of the way the guests are set up?
Well, I don't mind it getting heated, although that's not really what we're trying to do. That was more my old show, Politically Incorrect, which was sort of designed for people to be yelling at each other. I'm really looking for an enlightening conversation, and I like it best when people, they may have disagreements, even within people of the same political party. But this is a show I do for people who probably work all week. They have kids. They're busy. They don't have time to follow the news as closely as I do. That's my job. I do it for them, and Friday night I'm going to tell them everything important that happened that week and hopefully do it in an entertaining way. And we don't need to be yelling for that. But when it happens, they should know it is organic and it is real. It's not trumped up.
We're talking to Bill Maher. He is coming to Portland June 23rd, Schnitzer Concert Hall. You'll be doing stand-up. I look at your background, your dad in radio, your mom a nurse.
Right.
Where did stand-up come out of that?
Well, my father was a funny guy. He was a living room comedian, and I find this, talking to other comedians over the years, to be rather common, that comedians very often come from a family where there was a funny parent. Maybe they didn't do it professionally, but it was in the house, and it kind of took a generation to gestate and flower into something that actually could be done professionally. But I think I wanted to, like a lot of little boys, you wanted to be your father. And when I saw him, like with his friends, when they came over and they were joking around and he was funny and getting laughs, I was like, oh, that's something that could make me popular, because I didn't have really much else to make me popular in school.
The jokes that you do are smart jokes. Did you find out as a young comic that you couldn't tell some of those jokes in some of the comedy clubs? Did people get you?
Oh, I found out before then. I remember in high school, I think it was the first time I was ever on a stage, but we had a little talent show. I think they called it the Pop Show, and I was introducing all these acts, and the material I chose to get laughs was jokes that I stole from Johnny Carson. That was my source. That was my hero back then. And these were not appropriate jokes for high school. That was a late night. Talk show that was sophisticated. And when I was doing jokes like she squeezed the lemon into a man's drink with her knees. This is something that the parents did not find to be at all appropriate for their little darling. So I remember after that they canceled the talent show, the pop show, for I don't know how long, but I destroyed it in the school. So that was my first entree into being outrageous.
You polarize people, and we talked about that off the top. You come to Portland on the 23rd, you're going to sell out the Schnitzer, and people who love you, and there are people who are going to agree with you on same-sex marriage and marijuana, and they're going to say, this is our guy. But you've got to go to some cities where maybe you're not as welcome. Where are those places in the country?
Oh, those are mostly where I am. Those are my favorite cities to go to because the people who come out to see you in redneck states, those, the people, the liberals who are, unfortunately for them, surrounded by a bunch of rednecks, they are so thrilled when you come to their town. And that's mostly where I go. I mean, I was just in Morganville, West Virginia. I played Huntsville, Alabama. I'm always in the South and in red states. So it's a big country, and what I enjoy about that is letting those people know that just because I understand that the state is mostly conservative, I know that there's always a lot of liberal, progressive, free-thinking, even atheistic-thinking people in the reddest of red states. So that's no problem. A place like Portland is a no-brainer because, obviously there's so many hip people up there. I chose to do one of my stand-up specials there, right there at the Schnitzer. But yeah, you'd be surprised when you get out into America how many people are sort of in the closet liberals. They just don't have a place to say it where they live.
Bill Maher is our guest. He is the host of Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO on Friday nights. Obviously be here on June 23rd at the Schnitzer Concert Hall. You've talked about legalization of marijuana. They've got a problem in the state of Washington, just a few miles from here, where you can smoke it and possess it, but you can't buy it, can't grow it. What are people supposed to do?
This is somebody should write a book on these stupid compromises that inhabit so much of American politics, beginning with black people are 3/5 of a person in the Constitution. It's so insane that what you just described, you can have it, you just can't obtain it. What is it supposed to just fall out of the sky into your lap? So I don't know. Look, progress is slow. Progress is frustrating. Let's just celebrate the fact that there has been great progress and that at least 2 states voted to actually legalize it. This is obviously the beginning of the tumbling of the wall. I keep saying that legalizing pot is the new gay marriage. We saw how that went along slowly, and then there was a tipping point, and this year, oh, my God, every politician on the left anyway was, I'm suddenly evolving on gay issue. These people went away for a weekend, and they came back all evolved. They were tripping over each other to come out on the right side of this issue, and that is what's going to happen with marijuana. Is that at a certain point there will be a tipping point, and then it will be more embarrassing to be against it than for it.
Bill Maher, our guest here on 750 The Game. In sports we're always interested, and I know you've got an interest in the Mets. I want to talk about that later, but we're always interested in big sports years, and when the Blazers are good, there's a lot of calls on this show and a lot to talk about. In a political year, do you find that the fodder and the material in your show is easier to come by? Election year?
Yeah, because it's a horse race, because people are always interested in a contest. And, it's like when you have a good sports team. If your candidate is somebody you believe in, like Obama had been for a lot of people, you're very enthused about that. And the other side, conversely, if you are scared that the other side is going to win and you see some of the people they're putting up who frighten you, that's another reason to be involved and engaged. The 2012 election was hysterical on the Republican side because every week they had a new front runner and they had a new guy come to the fore. It was a long time before. Remember, Mitt Romney was nominated because they kept wanting to avoid him. So one week it was Herman Cain, and then it was Rick Perry, and then it was Rick Santorum and Michelle Bachmann, and all these clowns, one after another. So the material was endless. And that's one thing I love about doing the kind of stand-up comedy I do, is that I don't have to do the same act week after week. My act isn't about, how hard it is to get the ketchup out of the bottle. It's about what's going on in the news, so it's, always fresh. If it's fresh for me, I think it is for the audience.
Are you surprised that politicians seemingly make and say stupid things over and over, or is that just people?
I'm not surprised. and of course it is people, obviously, and people just aren't always on a microphone. But when you have interviewed politicians for as long as I have, you come to understand something, which is that so many of them are just so not bright. Now, there are some who are very bright. You know, there are a few Barney Franks out there who are true masters of policy, and they know all the details. Obama's like that. But there are some ones, and of course mostly on the right, who just are just not bright people, because it doesn't matter when you're running. That is the last thing the voters in this country consider often, is how bright you are. It's whether you're a person of faith. Oh, Christ. And whether you believe the things that they believe and all this nonsense. So sometimes I am interviewing somebody, I'm like, wow, you are really one of the people who runs this country? It is just frightening.
Bill Maher, our guest here on 750 The Game. I look at the political process, and I look at the Republican Party, and I see the population of this country, and then they spit out candidates like, you know, John McCain, who I think great military hero, that's wonderful, but just stiff, and they give us Romney, and I can't believe that the Republican Party can't give a candidate that is more likable, more easier to vote for. And so what's wrong with our political process that we end up with guys that you go, no, I'd never vote for that guy?
Well, I mean, part of it is what we were talking about in the question you just asked me about how bright are they. Bobby Jindal, you're familiar with Bobby Jindal, the governor of Louisiana, who was a rising star in the Republican Party a couple of years ago and maybe is again. He said at the beginning of this year, the Republican Party has to stop being the stupid party, which people were like, wow, that's pretty brave to say that. But my reaction was, no, you don't. Actually, there's a lot of stupid people in this country, and they need representation. And that's your brand now. We all can't get the clients we want. That's who you represent, the stupid people. And it's your own doing. You asked for it. You are the stupid party.
Bill Maher, our guest. So you're pretty open about your smoking of marijuana. Do you buy it? Do you have to fly to a state where it's legal? Do you grow it? How do you get it?
Well, I have a card for my condition, my trick knee, and my anxiety. Mostly my anxiety over whether they're going to close down the marijuana store I get it from. But, yeah, I mean, here in L.A., we have, I don't know. I mean, at some point we had, I think I read this statistic, was more pot clubs than Starbucks. I think it was up around 200. So it's a shame that these people who are just trying to make a living and obviously in many instances actually bringing medicine to people, because there are, of course, millions of people in this country who do need marijuana as medicine, and it is very effective medicine for glaucoma and AIDS and a host of other problems. And, they're just making a living doing this. It's good for the government. They get tax revenue. And yet they have to always live under this sword of Damocles, whether there's going to be this big pissing match between the feds and the state, which has allowed it, and the feds who say no. And I thought Obama was going to be better on this, and he's been rotten on this, like he has on a number of other social issues. And it's just really disappointing, because obviously it's not hurting anybody. We've known this for a very long time.
Big special election yesterday, and you can save this for the 23rd, I don't care what side you fall on here, but they were voting on whether or not to fluoridate the water here in Portland. 75% of the country has fluoridated water. It doesn't affect the appearance, taste, or smell of drinking water. We had a physician call into the show, said, look, I tell the parents, you don't have to have it, but you're going to need a dentist if you don't. But yet 61% of the voters yesterday voted not to fluoridate the water, and I'm just slapping my forehead.
Well, I would be on that page.
Why?
Well, first of all, look, I'm not a scientist. I don't have the facts in front of me. I'm not the kind of person who's the best spokesman for this. But I've heard things about fluoride that weren't good. It just bothers me when government puts something in the water. If you want fluoride, I'm sure there's another way you can get it. Buy it in the store and gargle with it. Why does it have to be in the water? Why is it not a choice? Why is this not an issue for the Tea Party, who loves their freedom? What about freedom about what we put in our body? So, I don't know, maybe fluoride is harmless, but It wouldn't be my choice to have it in the water.